Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. Today we are not going to talk about Fire Emblem. That is a promise. Well, I can't say that. We might talk about it a little bit, but that's only if I end up falling onto the topic by accident. Today I actually kind of want to talk about Pokemon. And in a way I'm going to be throwing a little bit of shade at a rather large YouTuber in my opinion. And I'm just gonna name him because I do enjoy his content. Sugar Conroy. About a year ago, did a series on Pokemon Black and White. And in this series, as he always does, he made bios for each Pokemon. And I know I talked about it before. Like, I'm pretty sure I talked about this when he legit did this. But, Regal Clock, I don't really care. Like, his bio for, say, Lillipup / Stoutland was very scathing because it couldn't make use of the special attacks it learns. Completely ignoring that it's a fairly bulky physical sweeper that makes good use out of moves like Return, Crunch, in more modern games, Stomping Tantrum, Play Rough, Wild Charge. Wild Charge has been around since Stoutland's been around. Like, he has good type coverage, and he's a rather good Pokemon. Another part of his complaints was that it's really hard to raise a Lillipup to about the level you need it to be to take on the first gym. When it's not. Like, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but it honestly just feels like he was / is biased against the Stoutland family for whatever reason. I mean, as someone who's done a lot of competitive and has been fairly active, at least on Pokemon Showdown, for about since Black and White 2 came out, honestly, I've seen the rise and fall of Sandstorm teams. Meaning I've also seen the rise and fall of Stoutland. Stoutland makes an amazing Sand Sweeper, because it gains Sand Rush and is normal type, meaning it's a bit odd compared to the rest of your Sand team. It gives you type coverage that they just can't, your other Sandstorm Pokemon just can't. And honestly, if Sandstorm teams ever make a comeback, and I apologize for that, I have kind of hiccups, so I'm trying to fight them down. But, like, if Sandstorm teams ever make a comeback, Stoutland will make a comeback. Right now, I'd argue it's still good enough to hold its own in NU, RU, possibly even UU. But no one uses it because everyone looks at it and goes, well, that would be so much better on a Sandstorm team if only those were as good as they used to be. And then they don't use them. And it may make sense. You can't use the Pokemon to its fullest potential. I mean, it is arguably better to just go find a better normal type. And don't get me wrong, there are better normal types. That's kind of the thing with almost every Unova Pokemon. There's usually a better counterpart. Not always, but with quite a few of them there is. And another Pokemon, and it's one I honestly can't believe that I'm defending in a way. And it's Pidove. Pidove / Unpheasant. And, like, basically, the argument that I've even seen other people throwing this around is that the Pokemon is bad because it's, its quote-unquote best attacks that it learns are special attacks, when they're not. Its hardest hitting single turn move it learns is Return. A physical attack. A physical normal type attack. It also has the ability of Super Luck, which boosts its critical hit rate. Now, I can understand the point of, well, it'd be really nice if it could use Air Slash. Or Air Cutter. Whichever one it is. It's a move it learns, and it's a special attack that has a higher than normal crit rate. That would be pretty neat, yeah. It'd also be pretty neat if it learned Slash. Or Night Slash. Or, you know, one of the physical high crit rate moves. But it doesn't. So ignore that part of it. Just use Super Luck, because why wouldn't you? It's better of its two abilities. And build it with Quick Attack, Return, and then fill out the rest of the moveset however you want. If you want it to be more focused on recovery, give it Roost. If you're just using it for single player, give it Fly. Fly isn't a terrible move for single player. Competitively, yeah, it's pretty bad. I've seen some people that, like, use Z-Fly, but they're literally carrying a move specifically for their Z Crystal, which they're also specifically carrying just for that move, and it honestly just feels like a bit of a waste. I'm not a fan of Z moves. But, like, Unpheasant might not have the most variety, but when you compare it to the other early game birds, the only one it really is definitely outclassed by is Staraptor. But what doesn't Staraptor outclass for early game Pokemon? It is just one of the best. So that's not really a good point. And one thing I'd love to be able to bring up to Chugga Conroy, like directly to him, is that Unpheasant is very similar to Fearow, another Pokemon he's used and mentioned liking. But he's getting so focused on Super Luck and the fact that it does learn special attacks that he's not realizing that. It's the same with, like, Stoutland. He's getting too focused on the fact that it learns special attacks. And just ignoring everything else that's good about it. I mean, I'm not trying to say Unpheasant is good by any means. It's not a good Pokemon. And almost none of the early game flying types are actually good. Like, I forget, it's Toucannon from the newest games. I was supposed to say I forget its name, the Toucan, but it's Toucannon. I think that's its name anyway. It has some niche use as a physical defender that can burn the opponent rather reliably, so long as it's being hit in the face with physical attacks. I'll do some fishing. And, you know, you get Pidgeot, who can Mega Evolve now. But, you know, and I've used a Mega Pidgeot. It's pretty cool. But that takes literally Mega Evolving for it to actually be better than Unpheasant. Let's see if I can think of any other early game birds. I honestly can't. I tend to blot them all out of my mind. Wingull! Yeah, little Wingull. Literally, the only thing that thing has going for it is the fact they gave it Drizzle for an ability. So it's used on rain teams. I think that's a new fish. I don't think we've caught a freshwater gobby before. Oh, mushroom. So, like, you know, it's useful on rain teams because it drizzles. It's the only non-Uber's Drizzle Pokemon, and that put it in OU, because rain teams are actually still surprisingly useful. But, like, aside from that, you don't really have much. I mean, even just as far as, like, early game Pokemon go, Unfezant's really good. I mean, it's even better now that they've buffed its attack a little more. Because back in Black and White, its attack stat was about 10 or 15 points lower than it is now. May not sound like a lot, but that is actually a fair chunk in Pokemon. Because base stats and end stats are very different. Base stats aren't even what you'll end up with if you have absolutely everything working against that stat. It's kind of confusing to newer players. Like, those are just basically two examples of bios that I feel he's a little too hard on the Pokemon in. Especially because immediately after being hard on Unfezant for being not all that great because it can't special attack, he turned around and caught a Blitzel. Which, albeit Blitzels are pretty cool, but they're not good. They don't have good type coverage. They're awkward. I mean, they can do some things. They're good Thunder Wave Pokemon. Because they're good and fast. They're not very tanky at all. I'm kind of biased against Sweeper Pokemon myself. But even with that, Blitzel isn't good. Not as a sweeper. There are better electric sweepers. That either just move faster and hit as hard, or move faster and hit harder. I mean, I don't think there are any in Unova. Like, Black and White, anyway. Black and White 2, there probably is, because there's a lot more Pokemon in those games. I honestly kind of wish that they would have just, quote-unquote, discovered more new Pokemon for Black and White 2, instead of just having all of the older Pokemon come back. But that's another thing. Entirely. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of... I'll just release this. I'm not the biggest fan of Black and White 2. I've got to go back and replay it again. Like, I tend to replay all of the older Pokemon games, but, like, I don't remember there being much story to the game. Aside from, oh no, our friend's little sister's Pokemon was stolen by Team Plasma and she never got it back. So, he hates Team Plasma. Gonna check and make sure we have one of these. Okay, we've already donated one. But, yeah, like, I remember, like, there was a decent amount of, like, story up until, like, the 3rd gym, and then it just stops until the 6th gym, where it just suddenly story. It's like, wait, what? What's going on? Wait, what is today? Thursday. Okay. For a second, I thought today was Friday. I was gonna be like, wait, I'm playing at a really weird time. I mean, I am still playing at a really weird time because I'm awake. My sleep schedule has been thrown off again. Not thrown off enough to the point where I can't work, which is nice. Because that would royally suck to have that happen again. There we go. But, yeah, like, I have nothing against Trigger Conroy's bios. They are pretty good, and, well, even in the cases where he is pretty wrong about a Pokemon, usually I would guess someone would be able to tell that he's being kind of wrong about it. Oh, another mushroom. Hey, mush furniture. That's just a mushroom, but it was really a mush end table. Hey, I think that's new. Or was that the lamp? I forget. You know what? We should put some money away. Gonna put more money into the bank. We also really need to... Like, I need to really start making, like... an organized, like, forest for the town. Yeah, I'm gonna put most of our money away. Cause, well, let's face it, we're probably gonna make a decent little chunk more by Sunday, and we're probably still not gonna buy more white turnips. I am still sour about that, so yeah. But yeah, also, I need to also note, I do legitimately enjoy watching Charlie Conroy's Pokemon series. It's just, when it comes to like a few of the black and white Pokemon, I think I might just be a little too attached to them. Like Stoutland. And it's purely because I distinctly remember having Stoutland carry me through a lot of black and white. Because he was that good. Like, as a kid, I can remember easily 4 members of my team. Because they're the 4 I use the most. Samurott, my starter, because it wasn't until Black and White 2 that I just stopped using starters. Stoutland, Darmanitan, and Amoonguss. Like, those are the 4 I remember distinctly. I think I also had a Conkeldurr. And a Sigilyph, I think. No, the Sigilyph was only temporary. Oh jeez, what was the 6th? I'm legit stopping to try and remember. Oh god. What was my 6th? I think it was Crustle. That sounds... No, it wasn't. It was Haxorus. I remember now, it was Haxorus. That was my team. Very sweeper heavy. But yeah, that Stoutland carried me through so much. The Amoonguss was so nice for like stage assailments and tanking. Those 2 were basically my wall core. The Darmanitan just flare blitzed everything in the face. Didn't care if it was resistant or not. I flare blitzed it. And it died because sheer force is overpowered. At least on Darmanitan, it's overpowered. But yeah, I'm a stopper any of this stuff now. And I will remind everyone, I do have a Patreon, should you wish to throw money at my face. There's a link down below. If you don't want to, it's perfectly fine. I'm just happy you watched the video. With that said, thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.